Hello and welcome everybody. Today we're going to be reviewing the Discord, how to clean it up, how to use it, basic overall overview. Because it's good when things make sense, right? When you understand how to use the platform, and you can really dive in and actually be native inside a platform, it stops being overwhelming. So we're going to get to there really quick. So the Discord starting off might look something like this, right? A lot of chats, and you're just like, where do I start? So note that first things first, come up to this icon. It should say Chase Solar Power, just the icon for the server. You're gonna right click on it and then just click mark all as read, because there's going to be a lot of updates that I continue to post, and because I give you access to the history of the chats, there's going to be a lot of updates that you haven't seen because you're just starting, right? So pretty much all your chats are going to be highlighted. So you're going to mark all as read, just so you know you're starting off at a blank slate. And then basically what you can do is come down here and just make sure all your categories are closed, meaning it should just show like the basic name of each category as you go down. You can see that there's nationwide chats for basically anybody anywhere inside these chats is nationwide. We have a resources section. So basic resources like maybe a roster, schedules, things that you might need, going to be in a resource section. If you're in a specific state, right, we have the Arizona chats here. Just anything relating to Arizona, right? If I'm gonna need to communicate with the team, everything's there. We have canvassing chats, canvassing training, closer chats, closer training, and then as we go down, we have leader chats as well with leader training, right? And so you see here, what I'm doing is collapsing these categories. You'll see information's actually built into each one of these chats. If you're involved with me and you're building with me, building this company, you might be in some builder workshops that you're invited to, and then some media as well. Everybody has access to media. It's like logos and pictures that we take as a team, all of that. So all in all, that's an overview of the categories, right? Where you're going to want to start here is inside this little channels and roles section at the top of the Discord. So if you scroll all the way to the top, you'll see channels and roles there. You'll click there, and what you'll see is like to the right, it shows like what your skill set is, what your main role that you're looking here to accomplish. If you're a canvasser, closer, a leader, those are all your main roles, right? You want to make sure that all the channels are clicked. If you're just a canvasser, right, you can just hit canvasser. You'll only see the canvasser chats. And it's the same thing with leadership, right? If you're a manager or a leader, then you can actually go and just see chats that are pertaining to what you'd need, right? If you want to get a little bit more custom with it, or if you want to make sure you have access to all the channels, you can just click on Browse Channels here, and then it will literally show you everything that you have access to, right? So let's say if like, you are really interested in canvassing training, but you know that you've mastered maybe a few of the things, or like you don't want to see like certain chats. Let's say if I go to the canvassing training, right, there's a lot of sections in here, like planning approach, breaking preoccupation, presenting your purpose, objection handling, creating urgency, confirming the appointment, right? Basically all of these things. And if you're like, I really know, like I collect a bill every single time I'm in the house, so I don't want to view this, I can actually go up and I'm going to click on unfollow category. And then I can click on specific channels that I would like to see, right? Or let's say that I'm going to make sure all these are clicked. There we go. So let's say I'm a canvasser, like I'm going through this and I'm like, all right, I'm done with 10 days to pro, or I don't want to be involved with that section anymore. That's a live streaming chat for intro training reps, right? I can just click on this, and then what I'll see here is that if I go to canvassing training, here's all the channels that I choose to be involved in. And you'll see as I scroll down, 10 days to pro shouldn't be there, right? And if I click on it again, 10 days to pro appears, right? So you can manage your own server and be involved in chats that you only want to see yourself, right? And so more to that, like let's say if you're canvassing and closing, but maybe you're in a period of month where you're just focusing on canvassing, then you can actually go to the closer chats, unfollow category, and continue to unfollow basically everything there, right? You see closer chats pop up, closer chats go away. So it's pretty cool, right? And then as you get promoted, let's say if you do become a leader and there's chats that you need to be involved in, note that your manager can actually add new roles, so you're involved in specific, chats that would be pertaining to you. Let me make sure that this is cleaned real quick. I'm going to unfollow the leader category and the leadership training, and then the builder category as well, just so we can go through a basic review of what you'll see as an entry canvassing rep, and then we can always add layers as time goes on. Okay, unfollow this, the tools. There's a category where any tool that you possibly could want to learn how to use, it's there, but again, for simplicity reasons, let's make sure this is all simple. So it just takes a few minutes, right? You come in here, you just click on the channels that you want to see, that you don't want to see. Obviously, I can see everything because, I have access to all the channels. So yours is not going to be this complicated by any means. But there we go. I just basically went through all the roles that I need to be involved in. Now, if I go to where you generally start here, like you have your main categories, right? So maybe as an entry canvassing rep, you have welcome, nationwide chats, your resources, your state and local chat, and maybe if you want to connect with canvassers anywhere in any market, you have all that, canvassing, chats, and training. We're going to start here at like the welcome. So any rules to the server will be posted here, but I mainly have a start here area where you'd start there and just kind of follow along here. So welcome to Solar AI. Use this workspace to collaborate with the mastermind group. Ask questions, learn, master, create, and teach, right, with others on any topic inside your sales process. So all of that's posted here. You want to change your username to the first and last name, right? Chase Lewis, and then the market that you're in, Phoenix, right? So this is how you change your username, right? If it says unknown here, it just means that it hasn't been accessed in a while. But if you click it, then it will actually bring you to instructions on here's how to change your username. So you want to make sure you open the Discord, log in, and then click on the gear icon in the bottom corner of your screen here, and then basically go to user settings. Under my account tab, click edit, and then you're just to edit your username, hit save, right? And then I have instructions for like iOS. Then you just hit back here, right? Start here. It goes right back to the main page, how to change your username. You have a brief directory here to where you can actually locate maybe different chats that you want to be involved in. It shows a description of every single chat here in case, you really want to have a place to find it, right? Directories are nice, just directions. And then I need help. I need help is just like, if you need help with anything, hey, I'm having trouble with so-and-so whatever, I'm having trouble with onboarding. Right, it's a support ticket area where you can just create a new post, and then it's a centralized place for all leadership to look and make sure that all the requests were answered day by day. So you have a welcome chat, you have a nationwide chat, right? So we kind of went through this a little bit before. It's just any chat, anywhere across the country, you're involved here, you join it, and here is the general chat. So general chat is going to be everybody about anything, right? You yourself can link any chat in here and you can talk about it, right? And so right here, like I've put, welcome to the chat, Adrian, check out the canvassing training section over at YouTube training on solar pitch dump, right? And so it's like, oh, cool. Adrian just joined the platform. He can click on YouTube training. And then I was like, oh, cool. Like I have all these YouTube videos to jump into and like resources, which is awesome. So he can jump in there, or he can go back to the main general chat, and then I have the solar pitch dump here, right? Where you're like, oh, cool. Like these are actual pitches in the market to be able to, pitch on the doors, which is awesome. So basically that's the general chat for everything, right? If you want to post some daily wins so people can jump into like, what are you winning on a daily basis, right? Because we're pushing every day to become better at what we do. What are your daily wins, right? People post daily wins here and there's like, oh shit, man, like that guy actually did that and that's crazy. That's a cool little like paycheck or story, right? We have our daily wins. We have our customer success stories, because why do we do what we do on a daily basis, right? And then we have a war room right here, which is like a group chat or channel. I wonder if it actually works while I'm using my camera here. No, it is not. But maybe actually. So if I go here and then turn on my camera. So basically this is a video chat room. I'm using a camera right now, so I don't want to mess anything up here. But at the same rate, I can jump into channels with the whole team, and then like you can join and everybody can join, and we have a whole war room built. And then we have different activities here, right? So let's say if I'm talking to you guys inside the war room, and if I want to start an activity and talk through a whiteboard with you, right? Let's say we're talking about closing and we're talking a training or a structure together, right? We can actually collaborate here. So I'm gonna be like, all right, guys, let's make some money. And basically with this, I can move it around, I can zoom in, zoom out. This whiteboard is truly massive. I just don't know if it's gonna work while I'm screen sharing in this little space. But let's actually take a look. So let's see here. So I can go training. And keep in mind, it's a collaborative whiteboard where we can all get together and edit, right? So I'm gonna go, okay. So it might be a little bit difficult to do this, but basically the concept is that you can zoom in, zoom out, just like a Google Doc, build it together, right? It's just in a little play by screen on my area or on my end, so it's not letting me, zoom in, zoom out, if you can see in the background. But anyway, the overall aspect here is that you have the nationwide chats, general chat. You have a place where we can all get together and actually have a Zoom room chat. And then there's also a stage here where we can jump on a stage together. See a little music playing. But I can start the stage, put a topic here. So let's say it's like, breaking preoccupation. I can start the stage. And so basically the difference between this one and the last one is that I can have like 100 members here, and it will just list you guys below as like audience members, and then you have a speaker that's on the stage, right? And so I can be talking, everybody can be involved, raise your hand, I can bring people to the stage and whatnot, and we can host big meetings here on a stage, screen share, kind of have a panel going. But this is an actual stage group that we can get together and have a different context of meetings. So think of this like presentations, trainings, the last one like workshops, we're getting together in smaller groups and like working on things together, right? Actionable items versus training, right? And so the cool thing with this is like the stages can be used for many different things. Just think of all this like live streaming, and live streaming capabilities are huge, especially when you have mentors in different areas and different fields in the market, right? So with that, the next I'm going to move to resources like a training schedule, just different calls that we have on a weekly basis that if you're interested in, you'll get a push notification to join. So we have the training schedules, we have the weekly schedule here. So if you want to post into like, oh, like what are we doing on a day-to-day basis? What is the schedule? It's all posted here just so you don't have any guesswork. There's no guesswork involved here, right? It's always because like 1099, right? You guys are creating your own schedule and you guys are out in your areas and you're holding yourselves accountable. But if I wanted to optimize my schedule, what resource would I look into to make sure I have an optimized schedule? This is it, right? Weekly schedule, right? We have a roster. I'm going to skip through the roster real quick because there's actual names and numbers on there, right? But you have a roster to be able to communicate with your team. You have a link tree to be able to jump into and kind of link to specific things that you'd need in the market. Audiobooks, right? You want to listen to some audiobooks to master your craft, and you want to have a conversation about it in a central place, right? And be like, oh man, never split the difference. I'm going to listen to this audiobook. And then you yourself, right? You can right click on anything here. You can create a thread and you can have a conversation about it, right? So you can say, hey, chapter 1, that's what this is. And then you can have a conversation locally. And let's say 100 people have had a conversation about never split the difference, right? It's all going to be in one place, right? It's not going to be everywhere all over the server, right? What's going to end up happening is that you create this thread here. I'm actually going to create the thread real quick. So create a thread, and I'm going to say start of thread. This is just an example, but I'm going to send it. And then you'll see as I go out of here, right? If I go through the audiobooks, I'm like, what people have had conversations about it? Oh, there's a thread on never split the difference. Let me go here. And then you can go there and listen, and you can actually go through the key points and golden nuggets everywhere in the server, right? So the end goal is that as we have these audiobooks and as we have the golden nuggets listed out in every single section of the server, if I can go in and in an hour pick up as many golden nuggets as possible inside the audiobooks, inside canvassing or closing or leader sections, then obviously I'm going to be using my time as valuable as possible, capturing the golden nuggets, right? Rather than sifting through the information, people have found the information for me and they have said, hey, this is what we need to hang on to here. And then you can always read through the audiobook just to confirm, but it's just, being a true mastermind. So you have the audiobooks there, right? If you're curious on how to see different threads, if you go up here in the upper portion, there's threads here. I can click on, hey, what threads are inside this audiobook section? And I look here and I'm like, oh, there's never split the difference, seller be sold, closer survival guide. Oh, wow, there's a lot of threads. Which one do I want? Or I can go to the pinned messages, and this one doesn't have any pins, but let's say if I pinned a message like that's super important, daily schedule, pins would be there. So, but you can look through the threads and be like, what threads are happening inside this chat? What pins are happening? Like what do I need to know now? Right? Important information's in pins. Threads are controlled, focused conversation. That would be how that would work. And then in the resources, there's also a My Availability section. So if you do want to update your availability, then you can. right? So you can update your availability. And then basically everybody knows when you can knock and stuff if we want to knock together as a group. So that was the two basic chats, right, that you're going to see. Obviously, you're going to get into the local chats. We're going to dive into that here shortly. But just basic overview, remember, we have a welcome chat with all the basic information that you might need to be successful here and understand how to use the platform. You have a nationwide section. That's your just general chat, your main chat that you're going to be in, right? You can only focus on the general chat if you truly wanted to, and everybody else will talk about the other chats. You can click on buttons and it will navigate you around, but just remember, the main chat is the general chat, right? So if you're confused, just dump whatever you need to in the general chat and you'll be directed where to go. You have your daily wins, customer success stories, your whole company, war rooms, big meetings across the company. I'm going to collapse that. You have your resources, which is basic information. And now we're going to dive into the fun stuff. So you have your local chats. And basically, if you are in a state and if you want a template for a local chat, I can get one out to you and it will be fully functional. So basically with the Arizona chat, you have an Arizona general chat, which is basically just like the other general chat, right? But this is all Arizona, right? So either general chat works. This one's just one that's a little smaller group. So you have your Arizona general chat. You have your hit list, which you guys might not be able to respond inside the message portion here, but you guys will be able to respond inside the thread. Right, so open up the thread, you can respond to these and have conversation inside here. But basically this hit list might be a list of places we can go and knock, right, that we're going to canvas, that we're going to set appointments in. So if we look here at like Stonehaven or Del Rio Ranch, right, you'll have a lot more hit list areas here, especially as we add new people to the team in new areas. But you can look here, Glendale, Stonehaven. Oh, I live in Glendale. I would like to hit Stonehaven, right? And then you have an address here, maybe a screenshot of the general area. If I pull that up and I'm like, oh, wow, like cool. They don't even have backyards built yet. This seems like a neat little area to be in, right? So you have your areas here, and then you have your Zillow, like any information that we have about this area, right? And so as you guys gain information about the area or like that specific area that you're jumping in and knocking, we can actually update the information here to have up-to-date information on all the conversations that we've ever had in Stonehaven and Glendale, right? So the next time you come in and you're knocking Stonehaven out in Glendale and you're like, oh, wow, these fun community events have been happening, there's all these like interesting information that I can pull into. Hey, how was the block party like a couple months ago? Were you guys there? Like, did you guys host anything? Right? Like you have insider information for areas that you are specifically knocking, right? And have other people have knocked and, hot leads in the area. Hey, if you guys are in Stonehaven, make sure that you stop by and talk to Frank. He loves our team. Like, like be an expert in your field at your area that you're knocking, right? Because if you're the expert in your area, then you are the guy to go to, right? Hit list. Next is going to be a hot leads section. So this is any appointment, really cover your ass, really. In hot leads, everything should be in here except maybe redact information that you yourself have kept and don't want to share. Right? Like I understand if this chat gets huge and if you don't want everybody to know the address and phone number, right? Then just make sure you put the customer's name, first name, last name, and maybe a link to whatever you need to keep, right? Maybe it's a link to your calendar with all the information, or maybe you put little stars there, but make sure you CYA, cover your ass, and make sure that all the hot leads or anything that you've scheduled is there. Right? Spoke to this customer, had a really great conversation with him. I want to make sure that we follow up with him. Just put it there, right? So hot leads. You can see here that I threw like, maybe I didn't set an appointment, but Beatrice, I just threw it down and then I put some thread here. In the same way, if I speak to, Tim Woods, and if I click this, and then if I go in and create a thread, and then say, I spoke to Tim Woods at 123 West Avenue, right? And make sure your spelling is better than mine. Phoenix 85042. Follow up Tuesday. Right? So basically you just keep information that you need in one place. So then later on, when on, Thursday's meeting or Friday's meeting, whenever we decide to get together and review some things here, then we can make sure all these follow-ups are on your calendar, right? So we can jump through and I can say, hey, John, let's go through the hot leads and just make sure that we have our follow-ups, or maybe, hey, team, we're going to go through the hot leads real quick and just make sure that we're updating our notes. And then we're like, all right, Tim Woods, all right, Tarico Sims, all right, Beatrice, okay. We just go through all of this information and make sure that all of our actionable items, to-dos, are marked off on our calendars, so we know exactly who to follow up with, what areas, and whatnot, right? So hot leads. Note that you're only going to be able to see the hot leads channel if you're inside Arizona's chat. So it means that everybody in the company is not going to be able to see all your leads. We do want to maintain some level of security in what we're doing. So let's see here. Okay. So you want to prevent people stealing leads. It's not like I think that people would do it, but you just make it hard for people to do, and just be smart with what you're doing. Protect yourself, cover your ass. Next is going to be submitting a lead. So you can actually click on this section here, and then it just shows like any links that you'd need to actually submit a lead for yourself, right? So if you want to book a solar appointment, then you just click on the link, and let's see if it actually brings me to the link, only because, again, I'm using a third-party camera. But let's see here. If I just copy here, I'm actually going to use this screen behind me. So let me see if I can get the camera out a little bit. Okay. So I have actually my Discord here along with the little screen that I'm using that you guys see to the left. But if I show you guys this Discord here, this is my server. If I go to the Arizona chats and the submit a lead and then click on the section. Okay. You'll actually see a questionnaire for you to actually submit an appointment, right? So you can see the actual, like, it says like name a canvassing technician, the market that you're in, date of the appointment, time slot that you're requesting, all of that information's in one place. So I'll go ahead and exit out of that. All right. So basically that was submit a lead. I'll go ahead and get rid of, but any extra stuff that we have, like if we're doing water treatment or, let me get the camera back here again. So if we're doing water treatment, alarms, solar, roofing, right? You're going to have submission links here in how do I submit a lead in my market, right? Because your manager is going to need to know that information. And it's good to have it all centralized in one Excel spreadsheet of some kind. Next is going to be end of day closeout. So this is the link to close out the end of the day. If you're looking for improvement, right? If you're looking for growth, The only way for a manager to give you feedback is for you to give them valid inputs, right? So granted, this is a 1099 position. You guys can either use as much help as you would like, or not use any help at all, right? I just want to make sure that you guys are armed to be able to succeed here, and you don't succeed, you don't grow unless you measure, right? Whether you're measuring yourself or having somebody else measure for you, right? You want to make sure you're giving accurate inputs here, right? So if you go to end of day closeout, it'll ask how many doors did you knock, how many people answered the door, how many pitches did you get across to people, how many appointments did you set that day, and then you have some optional questions that if you want to dive in deep, these questions are actually like pro questions, just so as your information is being tracked over time, then you can capture more information. This is like, what objections did you get today? And then you list out maybe the 8 objections of your pitch. And then over a course of a month, when you see that you have the same objections every single time, and you train based on those objections and overcome them, then you'll see your results really drastically change. So you want to make sure you're providing valid inputs in order to get valid results, right? If you just lie inside your end of day KPIs, like obviously we know how many sales we get, right? So I mean, that's the end goal, is having happy customers with sales, right? So if you put 100 doors knocked, 30 people had a conversation today, and I pitched all 30 people, right? When in reality you only knocked 50 doors, 10 people answered, and 2 people told you no, then your results are going to be skewed, right? So let's drop the ego, make sure end of day closeout, whatever you're doing on a daily, is submitted here, and then you do have an event that's posted above that does send you a push notification to close out the end of the day daily, right? So end of day closeout, you have your Arizona solar chat, right? So anything pertaining to solar, right, in Arizona, if you want to dump it here, this is just like if you're talking about areas or whatnot, like this specifically is like pertaining to solar itself in Arizona, right? I don't know how to get that across more clear other than showing you, like having a posted in-home presentation for us to jump into, articles on power plant, water consumption, maybe the added home value with solar, maybe we're talking about slicks in the market, or just like different things that are solar related only, that you can access this piece of material right here about solar, right? The basic is that if you just want to learn a little bit about solar and increase your conviction, you can go into the Arizona Solar Chat and just dive into it, right? Whereas maybe you go to the Arizona General Chat and you guys are talking about everything under the sun in terms of like, where you guys are going to be meeting, and what about that event that's happening this weekend, and do you guys want to go to Topgolf, right? So all that, just centralized chats here. If you're a new hire chat's going to be right here. Basically dive into like, hey, I need to get trained up. When is the next training for 10 days to pro? What are we doing? Right? So that's a new hire chat. And then just like the war rooms above, we have an Arizona war room here. So if you guys all want to tackle something together in your market, right? Maybe there's a bunch of things going on, and we can just create a war room here in Arizona. I can create multiple war rooms as well. So let's say if you guys are working on like role playing at home together and you want to jump into a role play war room, you can jump into the war room here and talk back and forth and role play together, right? And I can create multiple rooms just in case we don't all want to be stepping on each other's toes. If we want to have like 4 or 5 different role play rooms, then we can do that. I do have a live leaderboard here as well. The live leaderboard will show the appointments and who's basically in first place on a day-to-day basis. It's always fun to compete together as a team. So basically what I have is a couple bots here in the Discord. You don't need to know anything about the bots other than they make it possible to live stream a leaderboard, right? So it might look like somebody is in the channel. You can see this channel is called Video Host down at the bottom. It's because this screen right here that I'm using is a Discord, it's just an extra account that I use. So I use an extra account to live stream things 24/7. And basically, as you fill out, appointments, or if you sell things, the live leaderboard will be updated daily, every second. It is a live leaderboard, but you'll be able to see all your inputs there and who's in front in competitions and such like that. Live leaderboard, super important. It's the scoreboard, and scoreboards are always fun to point at. And then the last things that I'm going to cover are the canvassing, chats, and training, and media. Just note for canvassing and canvassing training, or closer training, I might jump into that a little bit, and then leader training. I'll go give those brief overviews because they're basically structured the same way, right? In terms of the way the chats work and breaking things down. But this is super awesome. So you'll notice if you're a canvasser, closer, or a leader, right? There's two separate sections for your specific role. There's going to be chats, which are more for obviously having a conversation, right? And then you have your training, which your training is the core piece of information. I can delete things and refine it, but that is let's say if we were a sculptor and I dropped a block of marble in front of you to sculpt, the canvas training is our sculpture, right? It's the end all be all finished product of this is the perfect training for you, right? There might be some activities to go, and you might be able to have a conversation and respond in those chats. But the basic core value is that the training chats are supposed to be the golden information that we're going to keep forever, right? And then maybe some of the chats there are you being able to go through the learning process and be oh, that's how much effort they put in to be able to do that. So some stuff will be deleted, some stuff will stay, but the canvassing chats are just for chats, right? So if I open these, you'll see there's a canvasser lounge here, which is just a basic general chat. But the difference is it's canvassers only, right? So unlike the Arizona chat and the general chat nationwide, right, where you might have closers and everybody, whatever, this is people specific only to close or only to canvassing. So which means you can share things like different pitches that you have and whatnot. So I can go in the canvasser lounge, I can share whatever I want amongst the canvassers. Hey, here's the different slicks that we are using. This is what we're succeeding in our market. Oh, what are you succeeding in, right? Canvasser lounge. Maybe there's a help I need, again, this is just a support ticket thing. So if you need help with anything specific to canvassing, you can launch it here. You have a sales motivation live stream. So I actually post another Discord bot that live streams sales motivation specific to what we do. And then there's a stage here again, which is called Listen to My Pitch. So this is super powerful. Because let's say we have mentors and leaders that are in every single market, right? You have a bunch of people everywhere, and I can hop in to listen to my pitch, and I can live stream on the doors, right? So let's say maybe I don't know much about canvassing on the doors, or maybe I do, and I just want somebody to listen to it live. Give me some input. Right? Or let's say if we have 50 people inside listen to my pitch, and a bunch of people want help and resources, right? I can go to listen to my pitch. I can open it up. Okay, confirm. I can start the stage. I can say live pitches. So what we'll see is that inside listen to my pitch, let me scroll down a little bit. You'll see there's a description there. It says live pitches, right? Whatever it may be. I might say Phoenix live pitches, Tucson live pitches, whatever the subject is. But now that I'm inside this channel, I could have like, let me see here, like 50 people down at the bottom. And then people can raise their hand. Like you'll see, it's not showing here because it's a smaller oh, yep, right here. Show requests, right? So if you're inside the audience, you can raise your hand and you can actually come up to the stage. Like you'll raise your hand, I'll invite you to the stage. It'll say, do you want to come on stage? Yeah, you come. And then you can pitch and then everybody else can listen, right? And then we can rotate as we go on. And then I can actually be out and listen to pitches. We can have the basic structure, give people live training on the doors, and then everybody gets access to training, right? Equally. And they can listen and be involved if you need training, if you need help, if you don't feel comfortable on the doors, right? And plus it's just cool being able to be a community, cheer people on, right? You're going out and you're testing something and you're listening. 50 people are listening to you right now, like succeeding in that pitch. It's fun, right? You get the kudos. Everybody's like, dude, you just implemented exactly what we told you. And that was amazing, right? Community effort breeds community results. So that is, that is the listening to my pitch. I'm going to disconnect quietly here. So that's the Canvasser chats. The closer chats are similar as well if you want to live stream like an actual deal. This is beautiful especially if mentors are helping people close deals, then I can be live in with the customer just like we are now, right? I can be live with you guys. I can listen to everything. And then, if you guys need help, it's like, hey, Chase, that was a really great question. The customer just wondered if it voided their roof warranty if we did something like this. Is that true? And then, I'm on the line, we can do an advocate call, people can kind of listen in. And then whenever personal details do need to be discussed, then we just disconnect the call, right? You can disconnect the call, take care of private details whenever you need to, but it's cool knowing that you have a whole team there basically watching this, waiting for it to get done. So it's amazing. It's fun. And that's what the point is here. We're building the company culture. And overall, like it's a transparent market. Whenever people know exactly what's going on and can tune in to get better and get excited, right? It's 24/7 things going on. It's a revolving loop of I can jump into, listen to my pitch or the trainings or the chats or whatever you need, right? And overall, it's just keeping and maintaining momentum. So that is the Canvas chats. The next thing that I'm going to jump into is canvassing training. So real quick before we start the canvassing training portion, how many of you guys have played video games before? Or maybe you have a health bar, a stamina bar, like you have a bunch of skill trees or stats that you're building up. And basically you spend skill points, right, to be able to increase every single one of those categories. And then it comes to a point where you're maxed out, on your health, your strength, your stamina, dexterity, or whatever it may be, right? And so that's what I would think about the training chats. Exactly to a T, like the training chats. The training chats. So if I open this up, you'll see it's listed out. Same thing in sections. Right. But what you'll notice, it's chronological through the training, which means that, as you learn to canvas, first you're going to learn how to plan your approach. Plan, right? I got to have a plan before I go to the door first. You don't want to just show up and be like, what am I selling? Right? You want to plan your approach. Excuse me. But yeah, you can go into planning approach, and maybe you want to make sure your pitch is good, that you're knocking houses. That would be a good fit for the program, right? But you get really, really good at planning the approach. So I know exactly what houses to knock on, right? I am an expert at this category. And there's a couple tests inside the chats as well where you can take the test and make sure you're a master at planning your approach. And now you know with confidence that because you've completed it, that you are a master at planning approach, right? That's the whole point here. So next is breaking preoccupation and being like, oh, Like what is breaking preoccupation? I know I plan my approach, right? Breaking preoccupation is helping you Jedi mind trick, hijack a customer's brain right when they answer the door, right? You knock on the door, they open it, and they're like, man, I'd rather be doing something else right now. Like, why are you knocking on my door? Right? So breaking preoccupation. How do I master the craft at Jedi mind trick? Hey, like that Bronco outside your front yard is pretty amazing. I was actually looking to get one because like that was my family, car growing up. Like, is it drive well? Like how long you've had that thing for, right? Breaking preoccupation, right? And they'll talk, oh man, like it's crazy. You've connected with them on a physical level or a mental level or whatever that be. And then you get into presenting your purpose, right? You present your purpose. Hey, I'll be super quick. I was actually out here because we do all the energy reports for Arizona's new solar programs. I was actually wondering, like, has anybody talked to you about these recently? Because they just changed and I just didn't have you marked off the list. Like we forgot about you or something, right? So we present our purpose, right? So they know exactly why we are there. We don't beat around the bush because we're confident that we can provide value with what we're doing. So why we beat around the bush, right? We present our purpose, and then if they do have objections or smoke screens or whatnot, we can handle it because they know exactly it's solar. Like I don't want to get so deep into a conversation about saving money when they don't even know what we're talking about in the first place, right? Yes, I am an expert at installing solar panels. Right? We're very good at what we do. We just haven't gotten in front of you yet. And I want to make sure you just have the information because we're good at what we do, right? It's a reason why we're doing what we do, right? With that conviction, with that belief, the more convicted you are in your own skill set, then people are more inclined to believe you, right? Because they defer to you as an expert in their field. Next is objection handling. So that may be like a difference between a smoke screen, right? Hey, I'm not interested. I don't have time right now, right? It's like, of course, I'm not here to generate interest. I'm here to actually just give you the information to see if this is even worth your while, because honestly, it's not worth everybody's while. And so we really have to just get the information across to you first, right? Smoke screens. Right? You can blow right past them. It's just a smoke screen. When you're overcoming objections, this is like, hey, like, this is way too expensive. I haven't done solar before because the cost, or because we're moving soon, or because, my credit is very bad, right? Those are objections, right? So we can learn how to deal with what's a smoke screen, what's an objection, right? Because we want to, just provide good service, right? A good way to handle objections isn't going to feel very pressured. Like we're not going to hard close people on the doors, right? We just want to make sure people defer to us as the expert in our field, right? And then it's like, hey, I want to make sure that we can get all the information to you to see if this even makes sense. Because if it does make sense, of course you're going to want to do it because it makes sense according to you, right? But we're not going to do it if it doesn't make sense, because why would anybody want to do that, right? So as long as you build up a connection with them and like you're transparent and trustworthy, people are going to schedule appointments with you. You just want to make sure you carry that flame and keep that flame going all the way up to the point of the sale, right? And so you have to carry that conviction and belief in yourself and your own words. Handle objections properly, get people excited, keep people excited about it, and just think of like energy like a color, right? You want to, like people's energy, you want to, like the end of the appointment, like when you set the appointment, you want to feel good. You don't want to feel like awkward. If you feel awkward at all for any reason, like that some energy is off or something like that, and then you can always introduce, them to your teammate or somebody that like, hey, this person's good energy, let me introduce them to them, so like you leave on a positive note. But basically we have objection handling, so all the way through the process: planning approach, breaking preoccupation, presenting your purpose, objection handling, creating a sense of urgency, confirming the appointment with the customer, right, gaining the electric bill, and then some tips and tricks on how to increase your sit rate, right? So there's an independent channel for every skill that you're looking to build here. So if you can look through that as a checklist and say, hey, I'm very good at presenting my purpose, right? And maybe if you're testing yourself on it, there's a place to actually submit your pitch for presenting your purpose. Or submit 50 pitches back to back to back to back to back so you can get better and see your own progression, right? But the whole point is to sharpen your sword, sharpen your own axe daily, right? I mean, respect is through the results that you yourself are looking to achieve, right? So you put in a massive amount of effort, right? No matter if you're really good, really bad, right? It's all there and we can all improve together. Like, this is not rocket science, what the process is. It's just, you got to do it correctly, right? So if you do it correctly and you actually do the work and you just go through and just become a master at every single one of these, there is no way to fail as long as you maintain consistency. So just checking to see if my mic was still on, because that would be depressing. Get through half of this and there's no audio. So canvassing training, right? And then you had the closers, canvassing chats. So I'll minus out of those. And we have the media section. So we'll jump to the media section here shortly. But just note what we just went through. Kind of a lot of information, but it all kind of comes and boils down together. Once you have that eagle eye vision, it's kind of just like knowing the lay of the land. You go and, you go to a house and you go kind of take a tour of the house and you understand the layout of the house. So now you have the layout of the house in Discord, right, through all the chats, right? So you have welcome. Basically, hey, I'm starting here. I don't know what to do. Nationwide chats. I just need to talk to the whole team about stuff that's exciting or things that are going on. Resources. What do I do? Like, what's the schedule? What's the roster? What are the websites and all that? Arizona chats. You need to communicate with your team. You need to find out areas that you want to be in. You want to save some hot leads there. You want to submit a lead, submit for KPIs, talk a little bit about solar or any of the things happening in your market, right? You're a new hire inside that market, right? Every state, every market's got to have their own hire process because we want you to be on our team, right? And making relationships with people rather than just everybody being in the same chat and then you're just in a conglomerate group and nobody knows what to do with you. So all that's there, right? We have our local chats. We have our canvassing chats, canvassing training. And then before I dive into closing and leadership chats, builder chats, what I want to do is just make sure we're all good to go. Okay. So what I want to do is go to the media. So the media here is going to be, everybody can post whatever they want here, right? All I'd say is keep it appropriate, right? It's just don't post things that you're uncomfortable sharing with everybody because everybody's going to have access to the media chats. So basically with the media chats, team photos, right? Different photos that you guys take out in the field, right? With customers or with your team members, right? We want to post things that are exciting, right? So team photos, reviews, right? Here's reviews and stuff, installation photos. So if you have photos of an install, right, you want to post them here. This is great for marketing, guys. We can chop these up, put advertisements out for you. I can tag you in them, right? But we have pictures of installations all throughout the area, so we can also show customers too. So it's yeah, we've actually done the things that we are doing here. Look at this. That's pretty cool. There's me on a roof. So if you guys have a drone or anything that you guys would like to take photos with, feel free to do so. It's super fun. Some memes here. These are some pretty funny solar memes. I don't know, you find something funny online, you post it here. Again, we're just building community. So Like in case you guys didn't know, this is how solar panels work. Taking the natural light to create some electricity. But basically just you can post these to Facebook, Instagram, it's fun to have little memes like this, especially if you're marketing for yourself. Because really when you network inside your network, you can help out a lot of people because you have a relationship built off trust, right? Most of my family already has solar panels on their roof. Because it's a no-brainer. If you can go solar for cheaper than what you're currently paying for electricity, lock in your bill for a lifetime, then why wouldn't you? Right? So it's the whole thing. So you have memes, you have logos here. So if you guys want to make advertisements, put things online, great. You have social media posts. And then like anywhere you want to dump media, like if you have any pictures or like articles or whatnot, like anything you want to dump there, they have a media dump. There's a scavenger hunt area as well. So like during like our basic training, we actually dump scavenger hunt photos from our trainings inside this chat, which can also be kind of fun. So you have the scavenger hunt, any pictures that people take on their scavenger hunt, you just post them here. Kind of funny. Awesome. So that's the basic overview. If you are a canvasser, right, and if you're just starting, these are the chats that you will have access to. So if you are a closer leader, feel free to stick around for basically the extra channels as we go through those overviews. But no, it's not too complicated when you boil it down to the eagle eye, right? The overall big perspective. Basically, you have your nationwide chats, resources here. You want to talk to your local group. You want to talk to canvassers about things, or you want to train, right? On a day-to-day, if you're looking at, hey, what do I connect to? What chats am I actually going to be involved in? Just go inside your local chat or the group chat nationwide, and we'll use these as our main chats, right? So if I go to the main chat again, I'm going to have to go on this screen. General chat, I'll say, good morning, everybody. Check out the updated hit list. We're going to be in an area at 3:00. And maybe I'll tag Stonehaven as the address or let you guys that know that new updated information has been, updated, right? So everything's here. And then you can just click on whatever's needed, right? I can say, hey, please message my availability to let me know your availability for the following week, right? Just be up to date on the information. You're not going to get a push notification to your device unless you are directly mentioned in a comment, which means if I at everyone, because everybody needs to see it, you will get a notification, right? If only you need to see it, I'll at you. Or if everybody that's a canvasser needs to see it, I will at the canvassers, right? Or at Arizona, right? But you will only get a notification if it's a chat that you specifically were mentioned in, right? If there's just a new update, right? Then I can actually show you here. Let's see here so if there's just a new update, let's say if I've added new training materials. So I'll go to the Canvas training section, planning approach, breaking preoccupation, objection handling. So let's say here you reviewed yesterday that objection handling section and you were like, oh, cool. Like went through all the information, already know it. Great. I wish there was more information in here, or maybe there's just, a new update. Basically, if I were to close out of all this, and let's say go to the general chat because that's where I'm at, this is what I see on my end as a canvasser. This is really important. If this is what I see on my end, let's say I add a new update inside the objection handling. And I say, here is a link to a new training. I'm not going to actually post a link. I'm just going to, just send it as an example. But you'll see that there's a new update in objection handling now. right? And so you can jump in and you just say, oh, there is a new chat there, and let me check out just to make sure that I'm up to date on that chat, right? In the same way, if I go to the canvassing chats and there's a new message in Closer Lounge, so I just updated on my end, and now there's an update in Closer Lounge, and now you yourself, maybe you're in the chats and whatnot, you're just like, oh, cool, like what's happening in Closer Lounge right now? There's been new updates. Oh, it's just a test. Chase testing some stuff out. In the same rate, go to objection handling, and I'm like, here's the link to the new training. I can see all the new messages, and I'm like, all right, cool. Do I have it? Good. We're good to go. So this avoids us just having one chat together and me asking for something at 8 p.m. or 8 a.m., right? I asked for something in the morning. Hey guys, make sure that you do this by tonight because this is super important. If not, then the whole world's going to fall apart, right? You guys don't wake up until 10, or maybe you guys are working a morning job from like 6 to whatever time you guys are working, and then everybody's messaging a bunch of stuff and it gets buried in the chat, right? It might get a little overwhelming, like missing a very, very, very important piece of information, right? And also hard to track. Like if I'm trying to make sure that you completed it or got access to it, it's almost impossible for me to do so, right? Unless like I have some sort of way to do it on my end. But with here, you have all the updates you can possibly need right in one central section. And then I can say in the group chat, hey guys, make sure you check out, the new objection handling section and complete the required training by the end of the day, or whatever the thing that we are doing is, right? Just an example. So now here's where we're going to jump into the closer stuff and the leader stuff.